Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new live episode of He Said, He Said, He Said, a look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective, because one perspective is not enough. I am your host, Alvin King, and welcome to our Friday, February the 13th episode. Happy Black History Month to everybody. It is still Black History, and I hope that you all continue to celebrate that because it's very important. And happy Valentine's Day weekend to you all, everyone. Valentine's Day is usually about lovers, as we know, chocolates and romantic love. But tonight, we're talking about a love that doesn't always get the spotlight. As I was framing this week's episode, I went back into an old journal and found something I wrote about in 2023 after visiting my elderly aunt. And while I was there, one of her grandsons stopped by, while she and I was having a conversation. And she was asking me about my godson and how he was doing. I told her he was having a rough time and that he had been acting out and struggling and whatever, and that his parents, who happened to be two gay men, were doing everything they could, along with the village that they've created, to keep him in line. And my aunt's grandson said something that honestly caught me off guard. He said, well, that's probably because he has two gay parents. And I looked at him and he said, that's not normal. And I asked him why he felt that way. And he said, how can you expect a child to be successful with gay parents? And in the midst of not wanting to disrespect my aunt's home, I said the same way I can expect Jay-Z to be successful, knowing his lesbian mother, Gloria Carter, married her longtime companion, Roxanne Wilshire. And that stopped him in his tracks. In that moment, I thought if I ever got the chance to do a show about Black fathers, especially Black gay fathers, I would do it. And tonight, in that moment, tonight is that moment. Because Black gay men are raising children. They're waking up early, staying up late, helping with homework, showing up to conferences, protecting, nurturing, and loving in a world that often refuses to see them. Single parenting is usually framed as a woman's story. And we honor Black mothers deeply here, but we also have to tell the full truth. Black men parent too. Black gay men parent too. Some are doing it alone, some are doing it with parents, some are doing it later in life, thinking about their legacy, aging, and what they leave behind. But tonight, as part of our Aging While Black series, we are honored to have two extraordinary Black gay fathers. Brian Epps is here with us tonight, and we also have Nathan Youngerberg, who's also here with us tonight, and expanding the definition of family, fatherhood, and love, because love isn't just who you come home to, love is who you show up for. All right. I hope you guys have had a great week. And speaking of great weeks, for many of you, it started off last Sunday with the Super Bowl. You all were sending me messages on my social media asking me how come I wasn't saying anything. Had I watched the show, whatever. I actually had a prior engagement, and so I could not watch the show until I saw it on YouTube on Monday. The show I'm talking about is the Bad Bunny halftime show. And before I say anything else, I want to give a very special thank you to the haters, especially the racist ones, because in your hate, your complaining, your threats, and your fake outrage, according to NBC, Bad Bunny's halftime show averaged 128.2 million viewers between 8:15 and 8:30 p.m. That makes him the fourth most watched Super Bowl halftime ever. Kendrick Lamar is the highest with 133.5 million. Michael Jackson had 133.4 million in 1993, and Usher had 129.3 million in 2024. And to the haters' credit, y'all did that. It wasn't about love. It wasn't about support. It was all of your hate. Meanwhile, other concerts trying to compete during the Super Bowl have 5 million viewers? I want to tell them, please go and sit your narrow MAGA behinds down, all right? And a part of them, speaking of narrow, let's talk about Congressman Andy Ogles. the Tennessee Republican. This man had the nerve, the audacity, the free time to call Bad Bunny's performance a disgrace and a mockery to the American family. And not only that, he wants to lead an investigation into NBC Universal and the NFL for their prior knowledge of Bad Bunny's production. Sir, if this is what you're doing in Congress with inflation, wars, the Epstein files, housing, healthcare, education, all completely out of control, you need to go and get a life. An investigation into a halftime show? That's not patriotism. That's not morality. That's racism with a committee assignment. Because let's be very honest, if Bad Bunny was singing in English, shirtless, with guitars and fireworks, this man would have been waving a little American flag and crying tears of freedom. But because it was in Spanish, brown, Caribbean, unapologetically cultural, now it's a threat to the American family. What American family? The one that doesn't speak English? The one that's immigrated? The one that doesn't look like you? That wasn't about values. This was about visibility. And some people cannot stand what they are forced to see. But Bad Bunny didn't just get on stage and sing some songs. This man came as a producer, a performer, a director, and a storyteller. He brought cinematography, lighting, editing, sound, design, staging. He took us on a cultural journey. And it wasn't random. It was Puerto Rico. It was Latin culture. It was his childhood, his roots, his language, his story. And let me remind everybody of something very important. We all knew weeks or months prior that the show was going to be in Spanish. That was not a secret. So if you were sitting here like, oh my God, why is the Super Bowl in Spanish? That's on you. If you were interested, turn on captions on your TV. Or turn the damn TV off if you didn't want to hear Spanish. But don't act like somebody tricked you. Now, I want to say something that might make some people uncomfortable, especially to the Black community. Some of y'all were loud about how bad this performance was, and the main complaint was that it was in English, that it wasn't in English. Okay, so why were you watching? Why were you comparing it to Kendrick Lamar's performance last year? Kendrick Lamar was amazing. Bad Bunny was amazing. Two things can be true at the same damn time. Black people, we don't own pain. We don't own marginalization. We don't own cultural expression. Yes, slavery happened. It's real. It's history. It's trauma. But that does not make us the only people allowed to tell our stories on the largest stages in the world. Bad Bunny's message was clear. This is who I am. This is where I come from. And I'm not translating myself for your comfort. And that's why it all worked. I didn't understand every word, but I felt every movement, every gyration. The little boy in the field, the Grammy moment. It was him portrayed as a kid. The cameos, Gaga, Cardi B, Ricky Martin, the two men humping on a truck, the visuals, the symbolism, the pride. That wasn't a halftime show. That was a cultural statement. And for those Black folks who are in the back of the room right now, still confused about representation, a Black female choreographer by the name of Charm LaDonna is the lead choreographer and creative director for Bad Bunny's 2026 Super Bowl halftime show. She is a renowned artist who previously choreographed for Kendrick Lamar and The Weeknd and worked alongside Karina Ortiz to create the Performances movement, which celebrated Puerto Rican culture. And to the NFL, listen up. You can't go backwards now. You can't go back to safe, watered down, generic performances. The bar has been raised. Representation is not optional anymore. So as I close and get ready to bring my guys on who I haven't seen in over 2 weeks, this is my message to everybody. If something isn't for you, it doesn't have to be for you. Okay? But if you stayed up watching, tweeting, arguing, complaining, congratulations to all of you because you helped to make history. And the good news is I can sit here and say, congrats to you, Bad Bunny, on a job well done. All right. So that's my critique, y'all. You all been asking me for that. That's what I have to say about the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show. It was absolutely amazing. So we have a fantastic show for you tonight. Our Valentine's Day show, Beyond the Valentine, Black Gay Fatherhood, Love, and Aging While Black. We're here for you tonight. But before we do all that, I got to get my guys in here. So if you all are ready, let's get on with the chat. Gentlemen.
Good afternoon, or should I say buenas noches?
You guys,
muy bien.
Okay. All right.
Hi, Sean.
How many countries are you gonna go to before we?
Hi, Sean. Right.
Come on.
I'm surprised you're not over in Milan. Okay. Hi, Sean. Okay. Welcome to the show. Hey, guys. Missed you guys. Welcome back.
First of all, congratulations on those 2 one-on-one shows that you did. Exciting interviews, and it was I was chiming in a couple of times, and from my my YouTube channel, and it's like one Ray Boy, something like that, and I was like, I don't think he knows that's me. That's like chiming in.
Bobby, I saw it after the show was over. I said, that's Bobby.
Hey, Rodney.
Hey, guys, can we say hello to some of these folks who have come up in here? Because let me see. Who we have? Monica Pleasant is here. Rick Irick is here. Thank you for joining us. La. I'm gonna say hi, La. I see. What's it? Is it?
Atla.
Atla. Okay, Atla. Okay, Atla. Thank you for joining us. Michelle Bowie, George Pringle, Rodney Bryant is here. Thank you. And Atla made a comment, said it's not that profound. If someone doesn't enjoy the show, what's the big deal? Come on now. Thank you very much. Rodney 4000 is here. Sharon Green is here. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Really appreciate you. But I'm very happy to see my guys because I haven't seen them. Okay. So thank you all for being on the Valentine's Day weekend.
It is. Are we going to talk about, your smooth baby face tonight? Are we?
Do you want to talk about my smooth baby face?
I just we share with the viewers, our little changes. Sean and I are still sporting the, salt and pepper, but one of us.
I just have the goatee.
But one of us has like a baby face now. So
he said, okay. When one beard is just not enough. Okay.
Okay.
No, thank you all. Thank you all for being here tonight. Look, who's that said? Rodney 4000 said Alvin's face is yanked.
Yanked.
That's a good thing.
Okay. Welcome to the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And happy pre-Valentine's Day to you all.
Happy pre-Valentine's Day to you.
As we got to keep up with our format and tradition of the show. We want you all to weigh in. And for our chat topic tonight, we're going to talk about some Valentine. And our topic tonight is, can we talk about Valentine's Day? Okay. So we're going to take a quick pause before the interviews to do something a little interactive with our panel and you guys, because Valentine's Day is usually framed around romance. But let's be honest, love shows up in a lot of different forms: friends, chosen family, self-love, etc. Situationships, even
entanglements,
even healing. So for the next few minutes, we want to open up this conversation about what Valentine's Day means to you, beyond the roses and the pressure. So Sean and Bobby, here's my question to you all. Okay.
Yes.
Do you think it's appropriate to celebrate Valentine's Day with your friends? And I don't mean a Valentine lunch. I mean really honoring friendship as a form of love.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? You're done?
That's the. Oh, yeah. Well, why do you feel that way?
Well, I mean, for someone like myself, who is truly intentional about nurturing friendships, because they too are relationships that require work. Okay, if I'm putting that kind of work into my friends, and they know who they are, they know what I've done for them without any question, that is a form of affection that I like to think that goes beyond February 14th. So yeah, I think you can share it. Yeah, it's another relationship that needs to be nurtured.
I like that. I like
Now,
that.
I'm going to answer, but I know that our viewers have got some feelings about this as well. So before I answer, I'm just going to ask you all that are watching tonight, just chime in. Are you team Valentine, or are you team friends, or team romantic Valentine? So what, let us know what you guys are thinking out there. Team friends or team romantic Valentine. Now, for me, you guys know, my friends are, my village is really, really important to me, and I love them all dearly, and I feel their love all the time. So if I waited to celebrate Valentine's Day only when I had a romantic relationship, unfortunately, I would not be celebrating Valentine's Day.
Don't make me lose it today. Okay.
So I don't, it's a wonderful thing. And when I was involved in a partnership, we certainly did, celebrate that time between just the two of us that day. But I've not been in a partnership for a minute. And so, I'm completely open to all various forms of expressions of love, brothers, sisters, friends, however we want to celebrate. It's all about love and not narrowing that description.
Yes.
First of all, let me address, at Law said, will we be doing any matchmaking? See, that's so cute. Look, will we be playing matchmaking tonight? Look, so not for me, not for me. But if you see something you like, go to he said live on.
Let us know.
Yes, on our Facebook page or IG, and let us know how you feel, please. I don't know.
I'll be your Valentine.
We might come back. First of all, I love the whole concept of Valentine's Day. I'm just not buying into it. I don't need Hallmark to remind me or tell me that that I need to do something nice for anyone. My partner, my friends, my family. I try to show love the way I know how to do it, year round. So that it's cute. It's cute, but I hope nobody hold me accountable. Because sometimes when you get into certain, you meet people, you don't know what they expect from you. And you don't know that sometimes. And so here you going around like, oh, okay, happy Valentine's Day. I love you, kiss, kiss. And they're like, well, where are my flowers?
Well, that's a lack of communication.
Yeah, lack of communication.
And it's also, whether you all have talked to one another about the commercialization of it, because there is, I guess, business capitalizing off of the holiday in a really profound way. And the example that I think of most directly is the change in the cost of flowers, for instance, on like flowers, a bouquet of flowers that you would have paid like $20 for yesterday is literally $45 today.
Well, you guys know how I feel about capitalism, so I'm not going to go into.
No, we don't know. Yes, everybody knows.
We don't want you to do that, but since Bobby is taking us on the road of buying stuff, my second question and final question for you guys is, what is the worst Valentine's Day gift that you've ever received from a partner or even a friend? And I mean, you really thought that it was a bad. You don't have to give their names, but what was it?
Viewers, chime in. We want to know, what was your worst Valentine's Day gift? And I have no judgment at all, so I feel free to just dive right in. But I think that has to be accepted different ways by the individual, because some people don't expect anything, and a card is all they need, or a thank you is all they need. I'm one of those people. I mean, I will accept just a thank you, and I'm good.
I will say that I have not received in all my life a Valentine's Day gift that was just like, I would say, like, was the like oh my God, like bad, like, or I can't accept this kind of thing. I have received Valentine's Day gifts that reflected a lack of understanding my prioritization. Like, it doesn't have to be the most expensive thing to make me happy. It doesn't have to be, or you giving me something that is a very nice gift, but it's not something I would ever use or something I would never do. So And I think those often come when you are kind of new in the relationship, depending on when you've gotten into the relationship with person, that they don't know you well enough or your history enough to sometimes get things that, best suit you. Because one of my favorites was a clock that I saw that I really liked. And I was with my partner at the time. It was for my office. And he bought the clock unbeknownst to me, snuck up to my office, got my assistant to put it on my desk. And I just happened to look over there and just like burst into tears because I knew there was only one person who knew that I wanted that clock.
That's very romantic.
Yeah, so it was a clock that's in my house. He's not here, but the clock is still.
You know what? So you can ready to start another talk show. No, we're not going to do that tonight. We're not going to do that tonight, Bobby. I saw you. Don't they?
But yeah,
and I have, since we're talking about worst, the only time that I felt like I had a bad Valentine's Day was with a group of friends. And one of them really wanted to bring us all together for a Valentine's Day dinner.
Yeah.
And the dinner was so horrible. It was so horrible that I think we all ended up leaving and going to like a restaurant.
The food was bad?
The food, just not prepared. Worked all day, didn't really take it seriously. And when we got there, and it don't take much for me. I'm a planner. So, if you say you go do something, me. So
it was in someone's house?
It was someone's house.
Ah, okay. I thought
it was like 6 of us. And we just said, oh, hell no. We're going to get something to eat. Literally, it was like it was just not fit to have dinner. Oh, and that's all I'm going to say to that. But other than that, when you look at it, it was all about love. And I'm glad that we got this chance to talk about this in this episode because, we're talking about the kind of love that builds people, the kind of love that chooses responsibility, the kind of love that shows up in caregiving sometimes, in fatherhood and legacy. We're talking about all kind of love tonight. And I'm just glad that we got a chance to, get together amongst ourselves and do what we're doing tonight.
And can I say I love you both too?
I do.
Valentine's Day.
I do. So are you all ready to spread some love? Because viewers, we have two extraordinary men who are on the show tonight, and I definitely want to go ahead and get them in here. So Bobby and Sean, are you guys ready?
Let's do this. Let's do this. We've been waiting to talk to these guys.
All right. Our first guest is someone who works and lives at the intersection of faith, justice, masculinity, and care. Brian Epps is the Chief Program and Impact Officer at Sojourners, where he leads national faith-based advocacy and organizing efforts focused on justice and liberation. He's a writer, a trauma-informed leadership coach, and the author of the widely shared essay, America's Gun Violence Problem is a System of Toxic Masculinity. But tonight, we're welcoming Brian as a Black queer father, someone whose life and work are deeply shaped by caregiving, healing, masculinity, and how we love across time. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first guest with the most brilliant smile in the world, Brian Epps. Okay.
Hey y'all, how you doing?
Brian, welcome to the show. Welcome
Thank
to the
you.
show, my man. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I shared this with him backstage, but Brian is really, and when I say catalyst for doing this show, he really is. I met him at an event that Sean gave 2 years ago. Sean, was it 2 years ago? 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And I didn't even talk to him at the time. I just watched him in his fatherhood moment. And I was just like, wow, that's some love right there. It was so beautiful to watch that. I prayed that I could frame a show around this topic. And so here you are.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to kick it off with you again, Brian, by saying good evening to you and welcome to the show. Brian, when you think about the version of yourself before you became a parent, what are you most compassionate about now, and why?
Yeah, it's something I was thinking about the other day. Thinking about past friendships that I had. Probably for a few years before I became a parent, it was something I was planning for, working towards. And I became very intentional about like the circles that I was in, the places that I would go. Of course, money and all of the things that in my mind would help me to be a father. Like I think they call it nesting, right? You're preparing for the eggs and for the chicks, right? And since becoming a parent, the idea of arriving, I've left that to the side in a major way, right? Like there's no such thing as being ultimately prepared or all the way prepared or all the way perfect. That the process of becoming never ends. The process of learning about myself and learning about my child never ends. And so I'm compassionate about certainly those few years of preparing, but also like my whole life of like this idea that you're a child and then you become an adult, so you should know everything, that you should have everything together, that there's a perfect time or perfect place for something to occur. There's no such thing in my head now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brian, it's great to see you again, and we're happy to have you on the show tonight.
We got the same initials.
That's right, D-E-M-B-E.
Okay.
So you talked a little bit about intentionality in answering Alvin's first question. So I'd really like to know, obviously, fatherhood looks a variety of different ways now. There are all different versions of what that can look like for us in 2026. And obviously, the pathway to fatherhood can also be varied. Can you share with us a little bit more about what you were most intentional and meaningful about during this process of becoming a father?
I didn't know which path I was going to take. I was open. I knew that I wanted to be a parent, and I was open to different processes. I was most in favor of foster care or adoption, and all of these processes require a lot of intention and a lot of planning, a lot of dedication. I ultimately went with international surrogacy. And if I fast forward a little bit, I was, of course, living here in the United States. My son was born in Colombia, Bogota. And I got the news from his surrogate that he was on the way, and she had a C-section. So I was expecting my son to be born like late in the afternoon. I left work early. This is the morning time. So I figured I had hours. I could book my flight. I had time to get there. I knew I wasn't going to get there on time, but I figured I had time to get there. And when I got home, I decided to take a nice, like leisurely walk, just to kind of let off steam and like be in nature. And I had forgot my phone at the house. And this is probably the only time in my life where I've had a transcendent mystical experience. Like when I walked into the woods, as soon as I did that, like birds were chirping and animals were like just doing weird things, all the way through my like hour walk. And when I left, like just loud birds were just like hawking at me, like, and just the strangest thing. When I got back to the house, to my phone, I got the announcement that my son had been born. Like they had to rush to C-section. And just in terms of like intention, your question around intention, like it was that moment that let me know that everything was going to be okay, that there was purpose in what I was doing, that I wasn't alone. Like there was a universe that was in sync in that moment, right? So surrogacy is a biological process. It's a legal process. It's psychological process. I had mandated therapy. Like just so many things that require intention. But the greatest gift around intention was just that connectivity piece that came through that moment, but also through the moments that I've had with friends and family, and just like knowing that I'm just squarely grounded in the universe.
What a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that with us.
I love that.
It's a very beautiful story, and I can feel so much meaning behind that story. I swear that I have not heard before, so thank you for sharing. But with that being said, Brian, okay, so with your son's name, I know it carries a lot of meaning for you. And I'm wondering, however, what does his name represent in how you think about legacy, inheritance, or passing something down in terms of lineage and passing it forward?
Yeah. Yeah. I just remember one time hanging out with one of my friends, and they mentioned that of course, like, you're having a child because you want to like leave a legacy in the world. And I was like, nah, that's not it for me. Um, but maybe like my concept of legacy is a little bit different, right? Than folks. Like, there's no way that I can control or even predestine who my son will be in life. So, he can't be my legacy. I have to create a legacy, on my own that doesn't involve him, right? But there's so much that I do want to impart on him and share with him. And love being, this is Valentine's Day show, like love being the main thing. I feel like that's his main inheritance and hopefully part of my legacy. And his name is Oath, OATH. And there's 3 meanings there for me. One, like literally the meaning of oath is to bear divine witness. And I had picked out the name even before my transcendent experience in the park. And like, to me, that like it spelled out that I was tracking with the name. There was something there that hopefully he could bear divine witness at some point in his life as well. It's also like just knowing that I started the journey as a single parent, that I wanted him to know that we talk about intention, that he was being brought into the world purposefully and with planning and with love. And so like my oath to him, his family's oath to him. And then this third piece around like the oath keepers that exist and like this narrative around white supremacy that's so pervasive in our country, if not the world. Like I wanted him to know that he was Black and that our narrative is just as potent, just as powerful, that he doesn't have to upkeep that false narrative around white supremacy, that his own legacy, his own history is valuable, if not more valuable than the common narrative that's shared. And so those are the kind of 3 things that I was thinking about just in terms of his naming and in terms of what I wanted to impart onto him as his legacy as well.
Wow, you almost made me cry. I'm holding back, okay, but I'm holding back. But Brian, since this is our Valentine's Day episode, I want to ask you something. This is more geared toward you and your person. What kind of love has sustained you throughout your life? Not just romantic love, but the love that built you.
Yeah, I grew up in a family in downtown Newark, and I remember my parents always saying that like you should never have to question whether you're loved or not. And that was something that they routinely said. There was a lot of things that weren't perfect, but I believe that was true and that it remains to be true. And again, I feel like that's what I've inherited in the world, like a love of family. Most of the folks who we hung around were not blood, like they were extended family friends that my parents went to school with, or they had worked with and became really close friends. When I think about those folks, like the way that they extended themselves to my parents who were often sick and working a lot, and to me and my brothers, they like, it was so powerful, like the love that they showed and the care that they showed, and they continued to show. And so that's the love that I like aspired to. Like when I talked about that nesting thing, like I knew that I wanted for myself and for my child that same type of environment of like love, unconditional love, thoughtfulness, kindness, respect. Y'all said when we started the show up, like the act of showing up, right? That's love, right? So I wanted that, and that's something that I have. That's how I know to define love myself.
Wow. Obviously, there was great joy and lots of excitement in fatherhood. I too have had the joy and pleasure of witnessing you and your son together. But there are also challenges, some emotional and personal challenges that are part of this journey as well. Can you share one or two, and how these challenges have indeed kind of shaped the way that you are a father?
OMG. The challenges. You can stay right there for a minute. I think y'all know I think back to that same day of me like catching the flight to Colombia and arriving. I knew that when I got there that he was in intensive care. And I thought at the moment that he just had like jaundice. He was under the blue lights and I couldn't hold him. And a few days later, found that like there was a murmur, like there was a weird sound in his heart. And like with each day that I was there, I kept getting like, oh, things seem fine, but there's just something that we're hearing that's not okay. We need a specialist to come and look at him. And he'll probably go home after that. So this went on for like weeks, right? So all that, long story short, found out that he had a very serious heart murmur that demanded surgery and multiple doctor's visits every week. And that's Nathan, who we'll hear from later. We have a mutual friend who, in the months before I became a father, he talked to me and he talked about like all the stress that parents put on themselves and community would put on yourself. And he talked to me for a long time about just like letting all of that go and like ascending to parenthood, like make it as easy as possible. And I was like very much in that flow. I'm going to have a nanny and I'm going to like do all these things that are just going to be make it easier, make it fun. And like I instantly, like with my son's health diagnosis, like this is going to be some serious shit. Right. One of the things I think it was instantly. When I got back to the United States and found doctors for him, they mandated that I have a social worker, like just as part of his health process, right? And I remember a white woman, she came into the doctor's office and she sat down. She had looked at my chart, obviously. And she said to me, I'm looking at you. I've heard the questions that the doctors asked you. Like there are two parents who come in here who can't answer the questions that you've answered, who are flustered and lost. And like, I just want to say to you that you're doing a hell of a job. Like, and like she went on and on and on and on and on. And like, that's the voice that lives in my head. Like after that moment, like, you know, even with so many hiccups, right? I've had like job transitions and moves, Sean knows. Like it's been like, you know, the world is on fire, right? In so many different ways, not just on a personal level, like that's the voice that remains in my head that this is life. This is what I signed up for. This is why part of why I wanted to bring and foster a human being, because life presents its challenges and you just bring your best self to those challenges.
You know,
before Sean, thank you. Before Sean answers his question, we have a viewer, Charlie's Angels, and Charlie's Angels' first question was, you know, how do you measure impact in justice work when outcomes can take decades? So, and that, would you like to weigh in on that really quickly, Brian?
Yeah, I just did a talk yesterday related to my work, and something that I came into the role with. I've been in the role for about a year. Was just the concept and practice of Black joy. I think about like Carnival, Mardi Gras, the Black church, the mosque, like the corner, the stoop, like all the ways that we express joy uniquely. And also those moments are, y'all talked about Bad Bunny, for example, and like an easy response to that powerful moment could be like, oh, well, they always let Black and brown people dance, right? They've always let us do that. They've always kind of given us this space to express joy, right? Even like on plantations. But the truth is those moments are our freest moments. They're the moments where in the Black church, we planned the civil rights movement and executed it. In the earliest days of Mardi Gras, that's when we planned the slave revolt. So to like answer your question, it's always been a dual thing for us, right? Like us being in a moment of joy and community and using those moments to plan, to strategize, to lead movements as well. So we get to do both at the same time, right? Like they plan Project 25, they're angry, in a dank office building and there's no joy. They don't know when to have it. They just, you know, they're protesting Bad Bunny instead of enjoying it and learning something. We've always done both, right? And that's who we are.
Thank you, Sean. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Thank you, Charlie's Angels.
No, it's actually all quite poignant because it kind of does lead into the question I want to ask, because the phrase, the word that keeps coming up from you, Brian, is moment, moment, moment. And with that, not everyone comes with a positive perspective when it comes to, quote, the moment, end quote. So right now, with all that's going on around the world, we're living in a moment where people say that, it's kind of difficult right now to bring a child into the world. And I know you, and I think you kind of already answered this question. So let me ask it point blank. How does faith show up in a way for you as a parent through reality, if that makes any sense?
Yeah. I haven't said this to me too many times, but when I think about it, I definitely think about my past, right? Like, or all of our past. I'm a big fan of like Afrofuturism, like the belief that we exist in the future and that we thrive in the future as Black people. And that's the opposite of what they're trying to sell us. Like, they don't want us to exist in the future, but we'll be here. And we are here right now because so many folks decided, despite like enslavement, despite segregation, like, again, we were going to lean into joy, that we believed in family, that we believed in love, that it's possible. And I follow that tradition. Like, I didn't even think about how hard things were. Like, it's actually the hard things that made me want to lean into love. I had a father who was sick at the time of my journey into parenthood for decades. And I'm like, I want him and my mom to experience grandparenthood, to share the love that they shared with me. So yeah, the hard parts they are evergreen. They will always be here. And even as hard as things are today, I don't think they are as hard as they were in the past, where folks they made the choice to say, listen, we're going to be fruitful and multiply where we are, right? Like, we're not going to wait for the best moments, or we're not going to wait for quote unquote freedom. We're going to create freedom right where we are today. So I'm following that tradition.
Y'all, we're getting a history lesson too
Okay.
from Brian. Yes, we are, and I'm soaking it all in, Brian. But and ladies and gentlemen, let me just let you all know right now, we are definitely going to. You all always ask us to stay on longer. Tonight, we're going to honor your wishes tonight, because we have another special guest who's coming on, and Brian and Nathan will be back with us together. But Brian, before we let you go, and before we bring you back, I want to ask you this question. Do you feel like becoming a father through surrogacy expanded you or changed the way you understand what family can look like, especially as a Black gay man?
Well, I did ready myself for like the possibility of negativity, and I haven't really received any. It has affirmed what I talked about earlier, that the family, the tribe, the communities that I'm in, that were given to me through that inheritance that I talked about, or even the ones that I've chose, have just been just super loving, supportive in all the ways, like in the capacity that people have had, they've given it and they've shared it with me. Mm-hmm. And so it's affirmed what I know to be true about family and about love. And I believe that it's also opened up possibility for people around me, even strangers, right? When they see me and a child asking questions, like, it's just opened their eyes to what's possible, to what fatherhood could look like, to who we can be as men, who we can be as Black men. Unfortunately, like, fighting against those stereotypes. And so I'm still open to, just almost 3 years in, I'm still open to the possibilities of learning about myself. But I know for sure that it's opened up possibilities for like the world around me, and affirmed who I know myself to be.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to let him go, but he's going to. Ryan, thank you very much for sharing with us tonight. And we're going to have you wait backstage, and we're going to bring you back because, and Charlie's Angels, I see your question over there. You know what? I'm going to go, before we let you go, let's get Charlie's Angels is up in here. Charlie, Charlie Angel says, if a public policy in America were designed around love, not just efficiency or politics, what would actually look different? Where would we feel that shift first?
Wow. Public policy does not show up for people, right? That's just clear. We show up for capital. Like we show, maybe that's the period. Maybe like regardless of the party, like even if we're thinking about people, we are always weighing capital as part of that measure. And we are like by far the wealthiest nation on the country. Like no other nation comes close, right? Like we could think about capital and think about people just a little bit more and have tremendous different impacts and results for communities, and it'd probably still be the richest nation by far. So I think we would see like a lot of the strain, like the heaviness that people feel, I feel like would be relieved because folks wouldn't have to worry so much about the cost of things, of housing, of transportation, of education. Like every system that we have is janky, right? So it's just if we removed a little bit of that capital, that strategy, as you called it, away from our public policy discussions, I think there's just no limits to how things would be different in our country.
Thank you, Brian. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all. We're going to let Brian go, and we're going to get our second guest in here tonight. Brian, thank you so much. We'll see you in a few minutes, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, powerful.
Powerful. Wow, let me say it again, powerful. Okay, our next guest brings us another powerful version of Black Gay Fatherhood through adoption, storytelling, and navigating care inside systems that weren't built for us either. So our next guest is Nathan Youngelberg, a Brooklyn-based storyteller whose work spans television, theater, and audio drama. He's the head writer of the award-winning podcast Live from Mount Olympus and have written for Sesame Street. His plays have been developed by the Public Theater, the Apollo, Roundabout, and New York Theater Workshop. Nathan is also a Black gay father of two, raising both a son and daughter through the foster to adopt system while navigating creativity, intimacy, and care in real life. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the He Said platform, Mr. Nathan Youngelberg.
Hello.
Hey.
Nathan, thank you for being here tonight, my friend. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
I'm gonna tell you again, I couldn't have asked two more powerful dads to be on this show. So thank you for joining us. And you've been a pleasure to work with to get to this point. So thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to kick it off to you, Nathan. Again, happy Valentine's Day to you. Nathan, what was your experience navigating the foster to adopt system as a Black gay man? And is there a moment from that process that still stays with you or reshaped how you understand care and responsibility?
Yeah, it was a very intense journey. I think anytime you're dealing with a city organization, it can be full of a lot of challenges. Thankfully, I was also matched with some really amazing individuals, specifically a case planner, a young case planner that I worked with through most of the duration of the journey with both kids. And he was just like a source of light and hope for me. But there are a lot of overworked and underpaid individuals who I think have become extremely disgruntled and uncaring and kind of cold. The system is also extremely antiquated. And so it was a lot. I am not going to lie. Fostering to adopt is not for the faint of heart. But I felt so committed to completing the journey that I had to continue no matter what. I don't know that a lot of other people would have been able to have survived the process. I think one of the moments that sticks out the most is just being in the class that you take. It's, I think, like a month long, and it was me and all women. And I found that really, I found that to be really beautiful. And there were women ranging from the ages of like 35 to, I think there was a woman who was recertifying who had been in the foster mom for 30 plus years, and she was in her 70s. But what stood out the most to me was that when we graduated and they told us that, you know, y'all gonna get a call sooner than later because there are a lot of kids in the system, and everyone wanted a baby. I did not want a baby. Everyone wanted a baby. And about a month after, I got the call, and they had a 10-day-old baby girl that needed a home. And they called me. Of all of the people in that class, they called the man, because my foster care class, the teacher that we had an affinity for me. I still keep in contact with her. She saw something special in me, and she felt that I would be the best person to give a home to this baby girl. So that moment always sticks out, because that was the beginning of all of this.
Thank you.
I love that story. And what's interesting to me, you said that this is not for the weak. And I believe you wholeheartedly, because trust and believe, I thought about going through the process that you went through. Maybe I'm weak. I don't know. Needless to say, I mean, you are an adoptee raising adopted children. Okay. So in what ways did your own adoption history prepare you for this role? And can you tell me about anything that was unexpected in that whole process?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much of my own lived experience as an adoptee first, but also I'm also a product of transracial adoption. My parents are white. I was raised in a multicultural family. And I am now an adoptive parent in a transracial adoption story, because my children are, I'm half Afro-Caribbean, Bahamian, and white, and my kids are half Italian and Afro-Puerto Rican. So they look like my kids, because we come from, you know, the same, like the whole diasporic, you know, journey and whatnot amongst the islands. But I think most importantly, you know, my parents were always extremely transparent, within reason. You know, I don't remember a time ever. I mean, obviously with me, it was different too, because my parents are white and I'm not. But I don't ever remember a time not knowing that I was adopted. And we've all heard those stories of people who don't find out until they're, you know, grown adults that they were adopted. And so I started, because of my experience with my parents and never seeing them express any sense of insecurity or discomfort around the fact, even when I, at age 25, went to search for my biological parents and met both of them, and we all came together at one point, there was never a moment where they expressed any sense of insecurity or fear or animosity towards me or frustration. And so I've already started that tradition with my children, in the sense that I have a really kind of short, small, without a lot of detail story that I share with them about, you know, why it was that their parents, you know, couldn't take care of them, and the fact that they're adopted and that I'm their adoptive father. And that's been really beautiful, because there won't be any surprises, you know, they already know. And I think you asked about a challenge or challenges.
Unexpected. What was unexpected in that process?
Ooh. Everything. Everything. Again, I started the journey. I didn't want a baby. Like, I did not want a baby. I was adamant about the fact, because, you know, babies are cute and I love babies, and I used to babysit when I was younger. But I wanted a kid that was already potty trained, so I didn't have to and I didn't want to do the you know, feedings every 2 hours and all of that. I had a similar kind of mystical experience, not similar in the sense it's like how Brian's played out, but I had some really powerful mystical experiences before my daughter came. I had said, when we fill out, you have to fill out a form. And, I was like, I want a boy. He's going to be between the ages of 1 and 6 at the oldest. And then I had a friend that came to visit me before my daughter was placed in my home. And he was in the room that I cleared out for the nursery. And he came into the kitchen where I was standing and he said, I think that they're going to bring you a girl. I just feel it. And I was like, really? And then another friend who is like a brother to me who lives in Minneapolis called me one day after that and said, I think that they're going to bring you a girl. And the day that they called, and again, they said they had the 10-day-old baby girl. And I felt her energy in the space because all these really amazing, expansive scenarios were happening. I almost felt there was this energy swirling around my apartment. At one point I looked up and I was like, who is coming to live with me? Because I was a little bit afraid because the energy was so powerful. And it was her. And so I think what was so unexpected is that it was, what I had thought that I wanted, which I think is similar to, parents that have natural born children, is you think that you're going to get this thing that you want, which is going to be something you fantasize about for so long, maybe since you were a child. But you have to really just kind of bow down and surrender to, God, the universe, your higher power, whatever it might be, and just understanding that what is going to come is what you're going to be gifted with, and you need to accept that, embrace that, and integrate that human being into your life. So it was my big surprise, and now I'm a total girl dad.
Thank you. I love it. Alvin started with your introduction talking about your accomplishments as a creative. And so you're the single guy out here doing all of this creative work. And then there's this journey now that you're a parent. Is there a story that you can share with us that really solidified for you that chapter of being that single creative guy has come to an end because now you're a dad of not just a new child, and not the 1 to 6-year-old that you wanted, but but a 10-day-old baby girl.
Oh yeah. I think I'd have to admit to, as a gay man, I participated in that kind of Peter Pan syndrome where I was out, partying and, going to the clubs and bars up until my mid 40s because I didn't have any reason to not do that. And I'm living in New York City. And there was a big shift. I intentionally stopped going out. I stopped partying and doing all of that a year before I started the process because I knew that everything was going to change in a way that my entire social reality would, as it was at that time, would become pretty non-existent. And it was true, the depletion and exhaustion, which has gotten a little bit better, but those with the newborns and the feedings through the night is, ooh, boy.
But you knew that. That's why you said you didn't want a baby.
Exactly. But I did it, I did it, and I did it really well. And I was really proud of myself. But yeah, and even just in the sense of, I was very active in the Black theater community, which is the theater community that I came up in around 2008, 2009. At that time, there was this really beautiful resurgence of the Black arts movement, specifically rooted in theater. And there were a lot of amazing Black theater organizations that were popping up. And I was always out going and networking and, getting my face out there, meeting people. And that stopped to an extent because A, I was tired, and B, childcare is no joke. I'm not from New York. I've been in New York for 20 years now, but it's a lot. I am in a relationship now, which is beautiful. We've been together for almost 2 years. We don't live together yet, but that's going to happen as of April 1st. So I'm still technically a single parent because I'm alone with the kids Monday through Friday. He is a He's a high school teacher, amazing person. He's an artist, beautiful human being. And he's also in a master's program for education. So he teaches high school students during the day in the Bronx and then has a master's program online at night. But yet every weekend, like clockwork, he comes to Bed-Stuy and he spends the weekend with us and he shows up as a co-parent. And it's been really, really,
Beautiful.
really wonderful. Yeah.
Congratulations with that. I'm screaming congratulations from DC. You should be able to hear me now.
To give people hope.
You've taken me into my next question about, your work, because from what I've learned about you and framing the show, you don't follow a 9 to 5. So how have you learned to integrate creative life with parenting in a way that feels pretty much sustainable instead of constantly being in conflict? And this is for you viewers who are considering to adopt and you got a life. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and that's a really important question because I had a lot of naysayers when I announced that I was going to do this. I'd say if I told 10 people, there were 2 that were actually like, oh, you're going to be a great father. And that's all that I wanted to hear. I didn't want to hear any of that other stuff. Although I realized I needed to, I had kind of like this Greek chorus because it was echoing my own internal confusion and conflict around it, and you trying to decide if I wanted. So I needed to face that. It was really important, like on a hero's journey level. But that was one of the first questions and statements that people threw out is like, oh, my own birth mother told me that it was going to completely derail my writing career,
Ooh.
And I had to really do some deep soul searching and realize that, for her, I believe that having children represented, because she's an artist also, like the termination of artistic endeavors, because she was really young when she had me and she had to drop out of school. She was a month away from graduating with a commercial arts degree and she had to drop out of school, and I had to really understand that that was her issue and not mine. I'm turning 55 this year. I've been self-employed since I was 19 years old. And I have sustained myself in New York City for 20 years as an artist. I haven't had a real job for since I was 19. So then I had to kind of switch gears and be like, no, I got this. Like I was designed for this reality. And the first thing that I thought of when people were like, well, how are you going to write? When you foster to adopt, at least at the point when I was doing it, because it was 7 years ago now when I started that journey, ACS covered daycare. So I immediately, I was doing all this kind of logical stuff. I was like, well, if they're going to pay for daycare and, they can go in daycare when they're 2 months old, if I can put her in daycare and they go from, 8 o'clock in the morning until, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I will have the whole day to write. So how is that going to derail my career, And then, then I took her brother in our home too when he was 2 weeks old. And same thing, once he was 2 months old, he was at daycare. I was there like the day that he turned that age, oh, there's my babies. And now, now they're in, my son is in kindergarten, my daughter is in first grade, and I drop them off at early drop off at 7:50. And then they go to an after school program until 6. So I have a really long day where I can not only do my creative work, but once 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock rolls around, I'm in the bed napping or decompressing until I have to go pick them up. So it really, honestly, from my perspective, that part has not been challenging at all. It's just kind of getting out of the house and networking. But work has actually flourished because I think the experience of fatherhood and the love that I have experienced, the love I have for them and the love that they give me has opened my heart and soul in a way that has expanded my work to a level that is just really beautiful. So I'm grateful for the experience and how it imbues my work with something deeper.
Thank you.
I'm inspired by you, and I say that very humbly for a number of reasons, but we're the same age. And
oh, cool.
I'm humbled by your experience and your story. And one thing that I think I've heard you say earlier, and I want you to expand more on, is you defining success for yourself. So, was there a moment when you realized you had to redefine what success or productivity meant in this chapter of your life? And I'm referring to, of course, not just like present day, but before you adopted and when you became a father and thereafter.
100%. You know, I have lived my adult life striving for success on an extremely high level. You know, I have worn so many hats in my life. I co-founded a modeling agency that focused on diversity in Minneapolis, where I'm from, back in the 90s. Got into the theater, been like a party promoter and a DJ and like all these different things, always doing things where I could like really kind of shine, you know? And when you become a parent, the spotlight is like, you know, onto them. And a lot of people said that, well, you know, that you're not going to be center stage anymore. You know, the spotlight's going to be on them. I was like, thank God, you know, because I think when I hit, you know, age 47, 48, when I really decided to do this, and, you know, being gay and, you know, existing in that realm and that world for so long, that was so rooted in, for me, going out and, you know, having fun, but really kind of like searching for that spotlight all the time. I wanted to shift things. I wanted to have that change because I needed to root myself in an energy that would bring me more down to earth. And I think that was just like a natural maturation phase that, you know, we all go through. But for me, it just happened to be the impetus was having children. And I'll be honest, like, I feel like, you know, I've been striving for this theater career now for, I think I've been writing for 16 years. And, you know, there's like a certain trajectory that you see in that you try to model based on writers, for me specifically, Black writers that are ahead of me on the path. And there was a moment a couple of years ago where I was feeling really frustrated and discouraged by lack of opportunities and rejection in the theater, American theater community at large. And I looked at my kids and I was like, I have just these gorgeous children. Like, I couldn't have written them or scripted them or cast them better if I had been hired to do a production about this. And I thought, if I don't have any greater success in my theater career for the rest of my life, I'm fine, because I have these beautiful children. And you know, I can't even articulate what success as a parent feels like, because it's like nothing that I've ever experienced before. It's just one of the most satisfying things that I've ever experienced through amongst all of the hats that I've worn and all the different aspects of the entertainment industry that I participated in. This one is like by far the one that fills me the most.
I thank you, Nathan. Before I have one last question to ask you before I bring Brian on, because we want to make sure that we ask you both two questions. But you said something, number one, you said something that resonated with me about, you know, before you received you adopted your children, you know, everyone thought because you were doing what you know, you were out, the light was shining on you, you was doing this. But, you know, in your heart, you're like this, turn the light off. You know, that just hit me so hard just now, because I definitely get it. So thank you for, I guess, shooting that pin into my heart just now. So Nathan, looking back now, what do you wish more people understood about Black gay fatherhood that you could only learn by living it?
Well, not so long ago, my partner and I saw a video, or I shared a video with him about this straight Black man who was talking about how, similar to the story I think that you were sharing earlier, but like how can two Black men raise a Black boy into becoming a man? Like he could not understand that. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of looked at each other and we were like, it just, you know, because we listed all of the things, especially with like my son, that we're giving him, you know, teaching him to be sensitive, teaching him to be kind, teaching him to respect women. Like, I personally feel there's no one better to teach a boy how to respect a woman than a gay man, and then, you know, a Black gay man at that. Yeah, it just blows my mind that people even have those. I mean, I can understand, I mean, not to their credit, but just to say, like, I have a very balanced understanding, I think, from a psychological perspective, why people think those things and have those narrow-minded perspectives. But yeah, I think that's one thing that I really would like people to understand, is that there's a larger perspective here regarding Black men raising sons specifically, that people a lot of times choose not to see. And a lot of times I think it's rooted in religious dissonance that clouds their minds and doesn't give them the ability to, like, see the nuanced layers that exist in sharing energy, love, and experience, and helping someone to become free and a full expression of themselves. So, yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. Wow. Well, we're going to ask our producer to bring Brian back to the panel, and then we'll have our royal flush. Okay, here we are right here. Okay. First of all, let me again say thank you both. We have two more questions that we wanted you both to be on camera and answer for our viewers. And to our viewers, thank you all for showing up in your comments. And if we didn't get to your comments, it's all about the timing, but we love that you have been interactive with us. Really do appreciate it. So let's get our group questions in here.
Yeah, let me start with the first question. And again, gentlemen, thank you for a wonderful evening. Muchas gracias, amigos. Okay, so Brian,
Nathan. So international.
Okay, everyone should be bilingual. Needless to, okay, if
you know what, just sometimes you just gotta say, ask the question.
If your children could one day describe the kind of fathers you are, what do you hope they would say about how you loved them?
Yeah. Can I start off by thanking Nathan for his own journey and his own existence. When I was on the process of kind of exploring what I was going to do, Nathan was just so generous with his time, talking with me, allowing me to see his own family and going to lunch in New York. And it was a joy, and it continues to be. Like, we check in with each other and share how our lives are going. So I'm just so thankful for your existence and for your heart and your mind. It was great to hear you tonight. I hope that Oath will, I think, like, folks will tell children they can be anything, right? And I hope that Oath knows that I believe that of them, and that they know that I'm just curious about who they're going to be, again, rather than kind of describing who they'll be, and not just curious, but also want to be supportive of that. And I hope that they can share that with the world as well.
Thank you. Nathan?
I struggle with this a lot because I didn't know how emotionally dysregulated I could be until I became a parent. I thought I had it all together, and ooh, Lord, these kids will push you to the limit. So I worry a lot. I worry that I yell too much. I worry that I, scream too much. But the one thing that I hope that they'll say about me is that I loved them with a love that was like so fierce that it could like move a mountain. I really do. I love them. I was just talking with my therapist the other day about, like, I've never experienced a love to the extent that I would be willing to die for another human being. Mm-hmm. And it's so overwhelming that it frightens me, because when I drop them off at school, I can't wait to get rid of them because they drive me crazy in the morning. The minute they're gone, I miss them. And I realized that that missing is connected to a sense of like losing something. And I had to really sit in that and realize that I just have to embrace it, and it has to be a good thing. So I hope that they feel that. I'm very physically affectionate with them. My father was also. They get lots of kisses and lots of hugs and lots of cuddles, and I hope that that will supersede any of the others emotionally dysregulated stuff.
Life is balance, my brothers. Life is balance. I get a final question here tonight, and I know we're being very sensitive to time. So I'm going to ask you to share with us, and concisely, the one important piece of advice, someone who may be considering the path of parenthood through adoption or surrogacy. What's the most important piece of advice that you would like them to know as they enter that journey?
Brian?
Oh.
He did it, not me. He did it.
I would say, well, one, do it if this is something that's on your heart or your mind. And then two, like I really value the advice around ascendancy and just like knowing yourself and kind of creating an experience that is true and authentic to yourself versus trying to listen to all the bad advice that's out there or everything else. So do it and do it your way.
Thank you. And Nathan, you're closing the show.
Thank you. I would have to say, because I meet a lot of Black gay men who are middle-aged, and their biggest concern is that they're too old and that ship has passed. I was 48 when I started this journey. I am old enough to be the grandfather to my children, and not as if I had kids when I was like 13. If I had had a child when I was like, 24, 25 or 26, I think. I don't know that I could have done it as effectively when I was younger, because I'm so much more emotionally integrated now. And I got a lot of that stuff out of my system that I need. I don't have any regrets because I traveled around the world. I've done all these things. And some days I'm like, ooh, my friends have kids that are, having kids or they're graduating from high school, and I'm just early on the journey, but it's beautiful. And it's not too, it's not too late. I say, go for it,
Thank you both.
Thank you. Well, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. This has been a beautiful, beautiful show, exactly as I pictured it. And me being the type A person that I am, that says a lot. But I want to thank you, Brian and Nathan, for blessing us today with your story, with your time. It really meant, a lot to us. And we worked on this show together, and we were very, pulling teeth about how we're going to, bring our viewers in and give them the space they need to answer whatever questions. And you did it so well. So thank you and congratulations to you guys. And we're going to keep you here while we close the show. Ladies and gentlemen, next week on February the 20th, in the Art of It, our show, From Voice to Vision, Larry Bogg Jr., Creative Journey to the Harlem Collective, will be here next week. He has just been designated as the costume designer for the 2026-2028 season. He's a talented performer and just an all-around beautiful guy. So he will be with us next week. And for our words of the week, ladies and gentlemen, Black fathers are not absent. We are present, we are powerful, and we are raising kings and queens. Those are our words for the week, ladies and gentlemen. And again, to all the viewers whose questions we didn't get to, I love you. We're going to see them online, and we'll make sure that they get posted. And if Brian or Nathan sees them and have the time or wish to answer, please do so. But again, thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on the next live episode of He Said.
He said.
He said.
We'll see you all next week.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Take care.
you.